Hey everybody, this is Guy with Survive. I've kind of run out of day. I've been trying to put this off as long as possible. I've done a lot of soul searching in the last few months, trying to decide how to present this information, if I should present this information. At the end of the day, I think it's the most transparent thing to do. I'm trying to be as obscenely transparent in our business model, and I can't be as transparent as I want to be if I don't talk about everything. This is really difficult for me. I was advised against talking about this, but I have to. At the end of the day, my obligations aren't to the industry, they're to you, my customers. And I feel that part of being transparent is being honest about all aspects, and it's not all just easy marketing and hype. I think that I owe you a responsibility, just as part of our quality commitment, to be transparent about all aspects of our business. Outside of some proprietary things that we've learned to do with some of the machines, everything we do here is an open book. And there's been things about the production process that I can't fully explain without talking about this first. And I hope that you guys can take this in the spirit that it's intended. Just as information, I do not mean this to be a hit piece. I thought a lot about it. We've sent a lot of internal videos and things with some of our suppliers to try and get some of this stuff nailed down early on. And I was originally just going to post those. I went through a wide range of emotions since this decarburization issue. I've had some time to sit with it and think about it, and I just please know that I'm not trying to disparage anyone or do anything negative to negatively impact anybody, other than to explain my position on some things and give you a reason as to why I'm going where I'm going moving forward. So starting off, before the decarburization, obviously that was a big thing. And it really opened my eyes. That was a lot of tens of thousands of dollars of direct loss, but then in all time. We completely lost our momentum because I doubled down on this new material, and to have all of that go wrong because of this issue that we found out later happened at heat treat for one reason or another. I can see both sides of both companies, but I still get stuck in the middle of that. Looking at how that was handled and what people were willing to do for us, for their part, I'm just full transparency. Peter's Heat Treat, for their part, they did not charge us for the batch. And at the end of the day, we lost, it was about 858 parts. Some of them we were able to rework. And then the others, I'm just scrapping out. This is the last few handfuls that I was hoping we could do something with, but this is all going in the trash too. So with that, we've had some other things that we're going to talk about today, and because I need to do this to explain my position. For the record, for all of this, Niagara Specialty Metals was good enough to give us 2 sheets of magnet cut out of this for our trouble. So wherever that lands, being that I don't honestly believe anyone there thinks they're at fault for that particular issue, and I can get from their side of it the given the scale of it and what occurred, how it occurred, I can see their point. But still, this is something we didn't do. I didn't ask for a stress relieving at Peter's Heat Treat, and I don't think it was clearly illustrated in the data sheet that this issue could happen to this extent. So people have been asking for updates since then, and we have been making some progress, but it's been slow. And I think that I need to share some things with you. I think I've left enough room here for Ellie to insert some photos and videos and different things to give us some visual demonstrations or illustrations while I talk about these things. But decarburization aside, I've been working with the folks over at Niagara Specialty Metals on some small quality issues, and I need to qualify that because that's my perceived thing of quality, and I need to talk about this. Please, anything I'm saying, let it be a reflection of our standards in-house and not anything negative about the materials. These materials have incredible potential, but due to manufacturing differences between different companies, not all materials are always most suitable for what we're trying to accomplish here in this shop. And when they fall outside of a range, it negatively affects us. And I don't see where I have many options other than to start diversifying our portfolio, so to speak, the types of steels we're using, so that I'm not putting so many of our small business eggs in one basket, where that situation, I'm realizing, requires implicit trust with my suppliers. And from what I know about the manufacturing processes at these companies, there are standards within there, but due to the processes, how the materials are handled, there is a wider window of things that can occur within a standard. And some of that's material strain. As I'll show you, I've seen some things with voids and even things like macro segregation. None of these things are supposed to happen. Sometimes I've gotten a semi-clear answer on what it is, but beyond those issues, just how the materials are rolled and the technologies involved in that, there's just a lot more room for error if something is mishandled, where it might cause us a little more part movement than we're expecting. Where one batch is fine, another batch or another sheet is perhaps less than ideal. And it's just really hard to explain what's going on if I can't talk about those things. So I'm sorry, I don't want to talk about this, but I have to. So looking at the rolling and different things I've been trying to work out here, I think sometimes there's just some variables that can't be accounted for reliably given the technologies involved with processing some of these US produced materials, where over the pond with Bowler and Udahome, they're much larger companies. They have a lot more assets behind them, and therefore they have a lot more technologically advanced processes in play and a lot stricter protocols to ensure a more consistent product. That's based on my visual observation of materials in these past years, as well as digging around the forums, on mold making forums, and talking to people in those industries where these tool steels they're defined as mold steels there's critical applications where they can't move. And after speaking with a lot of people in those industries, some of those who have really, really critical applications, they've had to find themselves moving away from some of the CPM products in certain circumstances in favor of things that are a little more reliable as far as warping and growth, irregular growth, things like that, that in a big complex part, it really matters. In that similar vein, for the tolerances we're trying to hold, I'm already milking everything out of these Haas machines that we can get. And to have things sometimes be a little less than ideal, or move a bit, or grow in an irregular way sometimes, or I scrap parts, anything that looks at me wrong. If I see an inclusion or anything in a part, I get rid of it because I mean this, and I consider myself your advocate in this, and I'm trying to build something of value here. So yeah, I've got a couple of notes here just to keep me on task here, because I'm a little squirrel brained right now, and I have a lot of feelings around this. Yeah, I'm ultimately beholden to you and not the industry. So we're going to look at some of these things here, and just talking about some of this, we were able to save a lot of this. We had a few hundred parts that didn't work out of that 858 parts, but with that, it cost us a lot. We put a lot more time into these parts than I was expecting, and we had about $11,000 more in Cerakote than I was expecting. We incurred a lot more to recover some of this loss than should have been reasonable, but we're going to keep pressing forward and making this happen. Just know, like, all this alone would have been terrible, and what actually occurred really, really harmed us as a small business. And full disclosure, we were wrapping up the last of our backlog here. We're on a good trajectory. I've been listening to what you guys are saying. I am trying to provide what you want. And I really went hard before we left Idaho, knowing that we were moving. I got some financing to help us smooth over the move. We really focused on a bunch of magnet cuts so that we had the ability to deliver the orders on time from the Dutch bushcraft knives video, and to get on some of these other projects where I was starting to get ahead to where we should have had in-stock inventory. When that happened, everything stopped for us. That's cut off all of our income. And we have overhead all the time that we're incurring day to day. I have to pay payroll, the rent, these equipment payments, everything that keeps this all running. So to have this happen severely compromised us, which killed our momentum. So what we're doing about that is we got those batches fixed. I got them Cerakoted, so they're up to a nice aesthetic standard. They're still 100% functional. I will completely stand behind them. But moving forward, we're going to be dipping our toe into this a little less aggressively. I need to be able to give them some time for a while to 100% inspect these materials to make sure that some of the things I'm seeing are cleared up, so that I can do this in a profitable manner while maintaining good prices for you guys. I mean, for the quality we're providing, we're well under anybody that's in our bracket. I feel we offer a tremendous value for the dollar, because I truly am trying to build some value here to give you guys. This started as a learning journey, and I've not been into this for a long time. I didn't want this, but as Josh said the other day, the knives are too good, so we're gonna keep doing it. So moving forward, what's been going on behind the scenes? We had a first batch of magnet cut post decarburization, and that went pretty well. I'm pretty happy with the part cleanliness. We're working those through. Now we have another batch, it's a little bit bigger, of magnet cut, and by all accounts of the Peters heat treat, that went very nice as well. There are some things that I'm going to show you here after I get this thing off a tripod to just show you some of the differences in the materials and why sometimes things take a little longer than I anticipate. We are a new manufacturer, and there's just things that we don't know, and with some of these new materials, nobody knows yet. Peters heat treat, Niagara Crucible, everybody learned something from this, and I think that's the takeaway here. Is there was a lot of learning that occurred, and I think there are incremental improvements happening. I do think that a lot of the materials that are made here up in Syracuse are great materials. There's a lot of interesting properties about this magnet cut. It's just, I have to ensure that every batch is as consistent as possible. So I can't take these huge bites just trusting and hoping that what comes out the other end of our production is going to be okay. For a minute here, I need to trust but verify. I am 100% inspecting every part that comes through our shop at every stage and taking notes so that we have information moving forward. I've taken a lot of video and photos over these last years, and I think that with that, I can show you just some of the inside struggles that nobody talks about. These industries that protect themselves, they protect the selling machines. I'm dumb enough that I'll sacrifice myself for you guys. It's just, I'm built that way. Just my personality, my childhood traumas, I'm more accountable to everyone else than I am myself. So this isn't a pity party. I'm not complaining or making excuses, but I've sorely compromised myself and sort of lost myself in all of this in trying too hard to give to everybody. And I need to pull back a little bit and maintain my mental and physical health. Being back here in Pennsylvania has really helped us with shoring up our supply chain. We're improving communication with our suppliers, and I'm seeing positive results from all of this so far, and I'm feeling a lot better. You know, it's really good to be back in PA and be really in the work where all of this is happening. And I think this is going to go really good places. Just got to keep pushing. So with that said, I think I'm going to get off of here for now. But what's going on with all those materials that you're seeing is we're working on our existing orders. We are going to have extras for a lot of these models. I'm just not going as hard as I was going to previously with all these models at once. I'm a little scared. It's really scary when you take out loans and then you hope that enough things happen that it goes right. Thankfully, we were able to work our asses off here, recover from that. Now we're getting things back on track, getting new materials, and making that happen again. Please don't take this as not wanting MagnaCut. Anything that leaves my shop, you can trust 100%. I will stand by anything that leaves here. I just need to make sure that each run doesn't require a blood sacrifice for me to get it to you. So I hope you guys can understand that and just give us a little patience. We have a lot of things wrapping up now. I just need some time just to focus on our work and to get some of these new things happening here. We lost all of our energy because we put every one of our eggs in this MagnaCut basket and just had it blow up in our face. So yeah, I guess we're gonna, oh yeah, I have a scrambled egg today. So with the M390 that's showing up, the LMAX that just showed up, yeah, and the K890, those are all third generation particle steels. To the best of my knowledge, K890's never been made in a knife, but on paper, it looks like a Super 3V for our application. I think it's gonna work out really well. Some of the initial processing has gone really well, and I'm gonna go over and show you some of that now, where just some of the little subtle differences from one sort of process to another sort of process in manufacturing these materials. To their credit, Niagara up there, they can produce a large number of things. They can roll a lot of different materials. They have a lot of capability up there, but because of that, they're always changing gears. And what I found is some of the things, I believe, this is my opinion, where we're trying to make multiple materials fit one template, it's not always the most ideal for each material. Where some of these larger companies, they do the most ideal thing for each material. So there's a more consistent annealed state. There's less stress in the sheets. I've noticed that if some of these sheets, while they're being rolled, as they cool, you get more compressive stress in the sheet, and that translates through to a finished part. It just bows a little bit, depending on how that strain was put in there. And the Peters heat treat guys are a little afraid of stress relieving this right now, so I'm doing my flattening in-house. But the stricter your process is, the more consistent your result. And I've learned a little bit too much about everything in this industry now, and with that, I just need to start taking smaller bites. I need to be able to pass a few sheets back if that's the case, instead of trying to cram 20 or 30 sheets back down someone's throat. That's a hard pill to swallow. 1 or 2 sheets at a time, easy peasy. I fully believe that they stand behind their materials. It's just when it gets into be a big issue, that's a hard pill to swallow for anybody. And I'm just at the bottom of the hill, so we've mostly swallowed this. But to Bob, thank you for the 2 sheets. You didn't have to do that. I'm not happy, of course, because I think that, in my hyper fairness sense, that I didn't do this. So, but sometimes you just have to grin and bear it. So that's what we're gonna do. So these are going in the dumpster. They're egregiously worked up, and the decarb is pretty well down into the surface of these parts. And I don't see any ability to make a consistent thing out of these with all the little machine features and different things that we have in here to bring these up to a decent standard. They're just too small and too twisted up. So that's going in the trash, and in addition to what else I did. This Crew Forge I haven't thrown away yet. It just hurts my heart because it's hundreds and hundreds of parts. It was 18 sheets of material. And again, I think it's just due to there's a wider allowable tolerance with how that material is processed. And for my application, I didn't understand enough what could happen to avoid this. These parts just bowed one way or the other, and with the tolerances I'm holding, there's just nothing I can do. There's a technology that I'm hoping to see if we can reprofile something a little smaller out of this, but I'm not very hopeful. So yeah, please understand that I only have your best interest at heart. I do not fit into this merch machine marketing mechanism that is our country now. I'm trying to do something of true value and to provide an exceptional tool for a really good value. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer. And we've only been able to survive all of this because we are a small team. And I think that we've only still had a following because I have never compromised on quality. So I know it's been a wait for some of you guys, and I do apologize for that. Just know that we're working hard in here, and I'm doing everything possible to keep everything moving out the door as quickly as possible while maintaining the highest standards for you guys. That's at the end of the day, that's all I care about. I could die tomorrow and be happy broke as long as everybody gets their orders and they're to the standard that I promised you. And I think that we've set something up here that we're all like-minded in here, and there's no corners cut. Nobody even thinks about it because we all share the same goal and standards. And the two new guys that we hired in here that are helping us out, they've been phenomenal. I went to school with one guy, and Matt is a friend of Josh, and they're both outstanding. They have incredible standards, being professional chefs, and I'm so happy to have those guys on the team. Side note, I'm going to pimp myself out here a little bit. We have been looking for someone to help out with emails and marketing. If you live around here and you are interested in that, sometimes emails are a little brutal, but we are wrapping up the last of our backlog, so that should lighten up a bit and get back to a friendlier place here. We are doing really good stuff here, so please just stand with us and we'll get all this squared away and press on. So anyway, without any further ado, I'm going to walk around and just show you some of the little physical things that I see between the materials that just causes a little more work, and just some of the things that I hope you understand where I've needed to slow down here. Yeah, let's just get to it. So when I talk about the sort of the standards window, there are a lot of times when the 3V and I had a few sheets of MagnaCut come out dead flat. Where it gets weird is if we're always doing the same thing, but sometimes we're getting a different result, and I'm seeing it, then there's something in a process where there's a shortcoming, or something is overlooked, where there's a variable that's unaccounted for that is allowing things to be less than consistent. I'm insane, so I believe that we should always be poking at things and figuring out where to improve. But other people are more money motivated. So looking at it here, here's some MagnaCut that we've got. This is some of the flatter MagnaCut that I've gotten. It looks really nice for MagnaCut. The other day, there's one little void here, and I've got a tiny little raised thing there that I'm going to explore once we start grinding it. This is where I'm 100% inspecting everything. There's a little raised bump there too. So I want to investigate that, but the rest of the part looks good. So if that grinds off, maybe it's something from the rolling. As long as that goes away, and as we bevel grind and everything, and there's nothing anomalous down into the sheet, that's fine. But looking at part flatness, there is going to be some flattening with all of these. As nice as the heat treat was, there's some flatness stuff, and that's very consistent, where, in my opinion, again, I think this is material strain from rolling. They're all bowed the same way, and I've been up to Peter's heat treat to look and know that they free hang these in the oven, so there's no stress or anything applied to them, and that's further validated through looking at this bowler here in a second. So these are relatively flat. This isn't going to be a lot of work, but it is more work than is typical. I know with a lot of shops even, this is flat enough that they just grind it and finish out and call it good. It's pretty visually straight. It's just not to the standard that I'm trying for. Yes?
It's not just the standard of the flatness of the part, but that also affects the next steps in machining as well.
It does. It really does.
And so being able to have bevel panel heights be consistent side to side.
Yes, and that stuff all matters, and I can do water-cooled sharpening on our mill because our machining is so precise. I don't know anybody else doing that. I mean, I'm sure there's some Japanese companies, maybe some German companies doing that, but our grinds have to be absolute within a couple tenths to be doing that, and we're holding that even with these hoses. And there are times where, you know, some of that material strain in there, I believe, is due to, you know, some heat control things in the rolling, but also the annealing temps. All of these materials have to conform to one temperature for the most part up there, where I don't think, as I look back through the old Latrobe 20 CV data sheets and Bowler's M390 data sheets, the annealing temperature, according to those companies, is quite a bit higher than what's occurring up at Niagara. So I think that that's the reason sometimes we're not getting the same finishes from batch of parts to batch of parts. We're using the same tooling. We worked out some really good strategies we think they're there, and then it's a little hairy looking, and it's not the finish standard we're looking for, but something's changed, not on our end. And that's insanely frustrating when you're trying to run something efficient. We're a small team, we've made something very efficient, but if something comes in our door that is outside of the parameters of what we prepared for, it causes us to have to reevaluate things and come up with new solutions. So we are working through this. I'm going to keep getting MagnaCut in smaller batches. It's just I've got to be careful. We're a small business. I do not have the resources of these large corporations to just eat shit run after run and be okay with it. I could lower my standards, but I just as soon not do this anymore. So jumping over here to, which I'll keep doing this for a second, but you'll see it's very consistent. I can grab, it's, you know, they just need a little extra work. It's a pretty flat part, so it'll be all right. It's just, it's an unknown time thing sometimes, depending on what comes back from heat treat. And just grab another random stack here. But very consistent. They're all, and that's what I noticed in my workshop notes with those guys up there, is sometimes the parts are dead flat and sometimes they have a lean to them. And when they're dead flat, stuff goes real fast. I'm very happy, but you know, that's a little higher now. That's getting to be a bit much. So as clean as these parts are, I'm still doing my due diligence for you guys to make sure that you're getting the perfect part. I'm not sending this out. You're like this, we're gonna flatten this, we're gonna fine grind it, we're gonna make sure it's immaculate. It's just, I need a little time. You know, I could solve it by charging a lot more money, but that I don't sleep well at night doing it. So now let's jump over to, this is our first sample parts of the Bowler K890. Like I said, this is the first time I think this has been rolled into a flat sheet for knives. Anybody can correct me, but that's what the Austrians told me, and I'm gonna believe them. So here's a stack of parts now, and I don't need to do shit to these. I'm gonna finish grind them, and we're gonna bevel grind them and finish them. Those are flat. That's well within my tolerance across the board for the whole stack. So that's a really strong start. And I think that's going to continue. The stuff over here that we have on the rack that's already been machined, they're all flat, and they go through process flat. They set up at Peter's heat treat when they clamp them in tempering. Anything that was a little bit, it came right out in tempering. So that's why we're working more with some of these things, so we have some predictable income. You know, as we're doing these older orders, I do have to keep income coming in. We have fixed overhead, and I can't just sit here in a vacuum and produce all of this stuff and ignore all of our responsibilities here. So I hope you guys can understand that and know that, you know, I'm making these EDC4s. We had some pre-ordering, but we're also working. This is a really beautiful model, and it's something that I feel we can make consistently as sort of a backbone of a beginning of an in-stock thing, while we are getting some of these other little quirky things sorted out and moving forward and getting that better steam. So yeah, I think that, oh yeah, we can step down here yet. People have asked me why I'm, you know, I've told a few people locally that I'm using Bowler M390 again, and they said, why aren't you using 20 CD? Well, back in 2016, 17, I think, when we were in North Idaho, we were producing these, and we noticed, Ellie, I think you were, you know, as we were doing the peening process, we had something we just jokingly in-house, I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, we just called them herpes spots, where there were raised bumps after I did a compressive peen. Well, I had this come back on warranty, and that's, I don't care how I cut it, that's macro segregation. Those high spots blew out of the matrix there, and those are just big voids. You can see where there was a little more water under the handles there, and it attacked it a little more. But can we get that in there? But that terrifies me, you know. And I want to absolutely believe in the materials. So they weren't able to, or I just never really heard back on that. So I just stopped using it. I know that when I brought it up more recently, they say that's in the past, but when I was seeing, as we're getting knives out the door, where I do a whole knife and at the end I notice a dark spot in the edge that I know is some sort of inclusion, I have to throw it away, because I'm not going to pass that on to you. And I hope you guys understand that. I mean this. I got into this to make a better knife, and if I'm to make a go of this as a business, I want to maintain our values of quality and offering something that I know you can take out and believe in, and know that even if it hurts us a little bit, I'm going to make it right, and we're going to do the right thing and make the highest damn quality product that I possibly can, and we're always looking to do better. Over here, these were some of the decarb parts. So these, I think these sheets were actually, they're spec'd out as 207 to 227. These were, I believe, right around 219 when I first ground these sheets. But these were what were going to be some of the 5.1 thins at 170. So here we have some weird void situation, and we're a good 25 thou into that sheet, and that's a similar thing there. Any experts out there that are an independent third party, feel free to reach out and let me know what your thoughts are on this. If there's any metallurgists out there, anybody that's really in the know, there's a little void down in the bevel. I mean, that's in the middle of the sheet. And like I said, none of this is leaving my shop except in a scrap bin. I'm not going to do that to you. Even the stuff that we coat, I could have coated this and hid it, and we'd probably got away with it, but it's not the right thing to do, so I'm not going to do it. So anyway, that's been said now. I'm sweating like crazy. Like I said, I really didn't want to talk about this, but this needed to be said so that we can start having more honest conversations about what else is going on in the shop. But please know, we're working on everything. We're getting a lot of this stuff wrapped up. And if there are some delays, it's just because I care and I'm paying attention and just trying to make sure that I'm giving you exactly what I promised, and something that you can hand down forever. I don't know, Al. I don't know how to explain our motivations to everybody, but it certainly isn't money. So anyway, I'm gonna get off of here and get off my damn high horse, but you guys have a great night. I hope anybody that's still watching this, I hope you found it informational, and we'll make some more fun content soon. But now that we got that out of the way, we're gonna move on and just back to the fun. All right, have a good night.